What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you are now tuning into a new episode of the Pro-Black Blurred Kingdom podcast. On today's episode, I am going to be doing another C3 comic series edition. Today, I'm going to be doing the first episode of Qartoon Queen. So, for those of you all who did not hear me, this is the episode for Qartoon Queen, Season 1, Episode 1. The beginning starts with a flashback to the year 2007. A small, light-skinned girl was in class. She was only about 10 years old. She had large, almost bifocal looking glasses. Her teeth were bucked, and she had braces, which clearly were to correct her teeth. She also had her hair in a ponytail. She was sitting at her desk because she was in a classroom, and she seemed to be drawing a picture as her teacher was talking away. She was in a classroom with kids who were predominantly black. She seemed to be so focused on the drawing she couldn't hear a word of what was being said from her teacher. She drew away and drew away as the teacher talked about grammar because she was teaching a grammar lesson. Her teacher was also a black woman. Her hair was straightened. She seemed to be somewhere around her 40s. She had on a white blouse and had on a long black skirt. So this teacher was dressed very conservatively. One of the kids in the class saw this light-skinned girl from afar and said to her, or said about her, "Look at this squirrel-looking ass bitch." Two other kids who heard this girl speak negatively about her began laughing. So, in this scenario, these were all black children who were laughing and teasing this girl that I described earlier. The little girl could hear them, but she simply ignored them and didn't pay too much mind to them teasing her. One of the girls, while the teacher was turned around, flicked the girl's glasses off of her face and made them fall onto the floor. The girl couldn't see, so she got up from her desk and began to look around for her glasses. Because she had such a difficult time seeing, one of the girls who teased her kicked the glasses from out of her reach as she was trying to find it. The little girl began crawling on the floor, further away, unable to see. And then the teacher spoke all of a sudden. "Miss Love, where are you?" The little girl paused fearfully as she was on the ground, still trying to find her glasses. The teacher walked over to see what she was doing and caught her on the floor. "Miss Love, I know you heard me speaking to you. What are you doing on the floor?" The girl then said, "I can't find my glasses, Mrs. Terry." Mrs. Terry responded, "Well, I suggest you find them quickly and get back to your seat. You're interrupting my class for today, and that is very disrespectful." The girl responded, "I think someone knocked them off my face." Mrs. Terry rebutted again, "Miss Love, I do not want to hear it. Please find your glasses and return to your seat at once." All of a sudden, Mrs. Terry bumped into the little girl's desk and a paper fell off of it. She bent down to pick it up and looked at it. The three girls that were taunting her and laughing at her were laughing even more as all this was going on. The little girl finally found her glasses, but they were now underneath a vent after the girl kicked them so that this girl could not find them. And the glasses happened to be covered in dust. But the little girl couldn't see that. She put the glasses on her face but she immediately took them off because dust got into her eyes. She wiped her face profusely, and the three girls continued to laugh as they saw her struggle with putting her glasses on and getting dust in her eyes because the glasses fell onto the underneath the vent. Mrs. Terry spoke again. "Miss Love, what is this that I found on your desk?" The girl then said, "It's a sketch," nervously. Mrs. Terry then said to her, "A sketch? A sketch? You were sketching in my class, huh?" Mrs. Terry shook her head and looked visibly angry. The little girl sat back down while rubbing her eyes still because she had dust in them. Mrs. Terry continued to interrogate her. "Let me ask you a question. What was I just previously talking about in today's lesson?" The girl then said, "I'm not sure." Mrs. Terry then responded, "You were not sure? Okay, let me refresh you. Today, I was talking about conjunctions. Can you tell me what a conjunction is?" The girl then said, "No." Mrs. Terry then responded and said, "If you had been listening, you would have heard me say a conjunction is a specific word that connects other words, clauses, and phrases. Allow me to give you some examples. Qiana was caught by her teacher today, crawling on the floor like a baby and drawing during her grammar lesson. Qiana was asked a question that she could not answer, so it is clear she was not listening to begin with. Qiana is a bright young girl, but she has a habit of spacing off." The girl then said, "I get it, Mrs. Terry." Mrs. Terry, still angry by a now also frustrated and embarrassed little girl, said, "No, you have yet to get it in my class. Matter of fact, you are going to own your reason for disturbing this lesson. Take your drawing up to the front and explain your drawing with some conjunctions." As all of this was going on, the three girls who messed with her and laughed at her were continuing to laugh. The little girl, named Qiana, walked up to the front, nervous and embarrassed as all of this was happening. Mrs. Terry then spoke as she got to the front. "Class, Miss Love will now be explaining to you all how a conjunction is used properly, and she will have to use some in her explanation. I will interject with a conjunction, Miss Love, and you will have to follow it with a truthful statement about that picture of yours. Now go ahead and start." Qiana then said, "My drawing is about Cherry Woman." Mrs. Terry then interjected with a conjunction. "And?" Qiana then said, "And she is a superhero." The girls were still laughing at her, as was the rest of the class at this point. Mrs. Terry grew angry, seeing that there was a lot of noise in the class. "Quiet down, class. Now go on, Miss Love." Qiana responded again. "She is known for being sweet." Mrs. Terry then gave another conjunction. "But," Qiana said, "but she could explode at any time." The class continued to laugh. Qiana then said, "I made her up because I don't have any heroes to admire." Mrs. Terry then said the conjunction, "or." And then Qiana said, "or friends." One of the girls who bullied her shouted very loudly. She then said, "Well, ain't that the truth?" The class exploded in an uproar of laughter. At this point, nearly everybody in this room was laughing at Qiana. Mrs. Terry saw what was going on and tried to control the classroom again. "Enough! Let this be a lesson to you, Miss Love. This is my grammar class, not art class. Think about that before you draw in my class next time. Now have a seat. Everyone continued to laugh at her as she walked to her seat. When she got there, she sat down and she put her head down while others continued to laugh at her expense. The flashback ended. In present day, it was currently September 2019, and it was a Saturday night in Austin, Texas. The R&B song called Hope by the singer O was playing, and it was setting a modern R&B-like tone in the room. The room had pictures all over the walls that included anime characters, yellow and orange heart stickers, and Black Power symbols, as well as many other pictures. The bed was in the middle of the room, and the bed sheets were yellow, and there was a rug underneath that was also yellow as well. There was also a combination of yellow and cream colored pillows everywhere on the bed. Inside the room was a desk, and at the desk was a beautiful light-skinned girl with short red hair. She also had light brown contacts in her eyes. She was wearing a yellow undershirt and gray leggings. She also was staring from her desk at a plush monster creature that was sitting on her bed that was from a popular video game series that she was a fan of. All of a sudden, she turned around and because she heard a knock on her door along with someone yelling. The voice that she heard said, "Hey, Key, can I come in?" Qiana then said, "Yep." Qiana turned down her music on her laptop, and then in her room walked a white woman with brown hair and blue eyes wearing a gray hoodie with black leggings. Qiana then said, "What's going on, Colleen?" Colleen then said, "Oh my God, Qiana, did you hear about what happened to Holly Bright from college?" Qiana then said, "You mean that stuck-up chick that you used to study with?" Colleen then said, "Yeah, her. She came up recently, missing. They say it's the work of the Blur again. That fucking Blur has got to go." Qiana then said to her, "That's really unfortunate. I mean, I hope they find her." Colleen then said, "Why aren't you just totally broken up about this like I am? This is so horrible. I mean, this is like the second woman to come up missing. I mean, that could be anyone next. Me? You? Like literally anyone." Qiana then said, "I said it was unfortunate, girl. Jeez. From what I hear, the PVC has been trying to find the guy, and he should get found. Anyway, on a brighter note, guess what?" Colleen then said, "What's up?" Qiana responded and said, "I got a response from Lava Studios. They want to meet with me." Colleen then said, "Lava Studios? You mean the same company that produced the anime show that you like, Monster, and this cute little munchkin you have over here?" Colleen walked over to where Qiana's bed was and grabbed the plush doll that she had been looking at earlier. Qiana then said, "Yes, I'm so excited. I've been waiting for so long to get an opportunity like this." Colleen then said, "This could be your big break, Key. You've been doing these drawings since I've known you." Qiana then said, "Yes, think about all the time that I spent on Mango Menace. It's going to be a hit, I'm telling you. Just picture it as the next big anime with Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Naruto, Monster, and now Mango Menace." Colleen then said, "Yeah, you go, girl." And then Qiana said, "You know, they recognize that your girl has some talent." Colleen then said, "Well, maybe we should celebrate. Want to go get some Waco taco?" Qiana then said, "Girl, don't tempt me. You know how much I love tacos, okay? That's probably not a good idea tonight, though. I gotta get up early. Plus, as expensive as rent is here, shoot, I have to save my money." Colleen then said, what time does she want you there? Qiana then said, 7 o'clock a.m. Colleen responded again. That's way too early. I wouldn't be able to handle that. Good thing my parents agreed to pay my rent until I can get a job. Qiana then said, my parents have had me working since I was a teenager. This ain't nothing new for me. I gotta make my own way somehow. Anyway, girl, I'm about to go to bed. I'll see you tomorrow. Colleen then said, no problem. Good night, Key. Qiana said, good night, Colleen. Qiana shut her laptop down and walked over to the desk where she picked up 2 drawings that were now colored in. One of them was of the Mango Menace. Mango Menace was a mango with a large mouth, with big lips and a sharp smile. It had on a bib around its body, like it was in a gang, and 2 guns in its hand and legs protruding out of its body. She put that drawing down onto her bed, and then she looked at the second picture, which was of the Cherry Woman drawing that she had from when she was younger. The woman resembled her to some extent, her adult self, that is, except she was red, with a cherry stem protruding out of her head, and a red supersuit that had a cherry symbol on it. Qiana looked at it and she smiled. She took the 2 pictures. She put them up after examining them for a little bit, put them back on her desk, laid back in her bed, and then went to sleep once the lights were off. The next day, around 6:57 a.m., Qiana arrived at the Duke's Arts Gallery and met with a black woman who was light-skinned, heavy-set, with curly black hair. She had on burgundy lipstick and a burgundy business suit on, as well as heels. The lady, who was named Monet, said, "You are late, Qiana." Qiana responded and said, "I thought you said that I had to be here at 7 o'clock a.m. Monet then said, "You should have been here at 6:45 a.m. Anything beyond that is late. Do better next time, Qiana. I should not have to tell you this." Qiana then said, "No problem." Monet responded and said, "Today, I want you to make some calls. We are going to be doing an art show here in a couple weeks, and I need for you to help me get as many guests as possible in attendance." Qiana said, "Okay, well, who should I invite?" Monet responded to her and said, "That's your responsibility, Qiana. Come on now. Take some initiative. You work in an art gallery, for God's sakes. The world is your oyster, and it's up to you to make it as big or as little of a success as it's going to be as a black woman in this world. Get out there and do some research. Find out who would be interested. That's why I paid for you to be my assistant." Qiana then said, "I thought you hired me to clean bathrooms and get you coffee." Monet responded, "Yeah, that too. But stay here with me, honey. As a matter of fact, I want you to come with me." Qiana at this point followed Monet all throughout this gallery. It was small, but had numerous pieces of art that seemed to be of black people, both in paintings and in sculptures. The gallery itself was eclectic and filled with pictures. The floor was wooden and all the walls were white. They got to one of the rooms toward the back that had a giant sculpture of a naked black man holding a burning globe and tucking his arms as he was holding it. Monet went over to the sculpture and had them stop there. She then spoke. "See this picture here? This, Qiana, is called the," and I'm saying this in Swahili, so forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Olim Wegu wa Fursa, which is Swahili for World of Opportunity. My interpretation of this masterpiece is that in this world, we as black people must seize the opportunity to achieve greatness and innovate this world, knowing that it won't be given to us. As the world sits in the palm of our hands, it will ignite like a ball of fire with the passion and flame that our melanin has instilled within it, ultimately it shows that we in this world are given the power to fight and change the scope, just as our ancestors intended in slavery, in civil rights, and in other great disasters that have plagued us. I showed you this to give you the understanding that it is up to you to set this world ablaze and to show the world the power of our people. Art, while symbolic, often captivates the sheer embodiment of our circumstance. And this is just a reminder here that you have an opportunity to make history in this world. But again, that is up to you. Qiana then said, I'm sorry, but I hate to burst your bubble, Monet, but that isn't what I got from this piece. Monet then said, excuse me? Are you telling me I'm wrong, girl? Qiana then said, no, but I do believe you spun that to attempt to give me some sort of lesson. What I got from this piece is a black man who is uplifting a world that constantly burns and does nothing for him. If you look at the face of the man, it looks as though he is in agony. He tires from trying to protect a world that has done nothing but cause him hurt and pain. He can hold it as much as he wants, but it won't give him the gratitude of being kind back. This is a reminder that as black people, that we are so busy trying to help others that we rarely look out for our own self and our own self-care. We need to put the problems of the world aside and the agony will end. But as long as we play nice with those who hate us, we will continue to be burned. I think it's called the world of opportunity because of the world seeing an opportunity and taking advantage of our kindness and taking it for weakness. Monet paused for a bit after what she heard Qiana said, and she looked at her in disbelief that she came up with such a depiction from the sculpture. She then said, interesting. You're smarter than I thought you were, Qiana. Qiana responded and looked at her as if she didn't know what to say and said, thank you, I think. Monet then said, matter of fact, you are brilliant. How about this? Not only am I going to have you call people to come visit the gallery I'm hosting, I will make you the manager of this project. We'll see how you do putting together an entire art show. Qiana double took when she said this in disbelief that Monet gave her such a heavy responsibility and said, wait, what, Monet? What? Monet then said, nope, it's too late. Let's see you put your money where your mouth is, Qiana. Monet walked away and left Qiana there puzzled and mystified. Qiana stood there for a second and walked away. She walked by the receptionist's desk, and there stood a white man with brown hair and a shaved beard and mustache who was in his 50s that happened to be working as a security guard. Qiana looked at him as she passed by him and said, ugh, hey, Stephen. Stephen then said, tough day already? And Qiana said, you can say that again. Stephen shook his head as he saw Qiana go over to the receptionist's desk and sit there after storming over. Later that day, around 7:00 p.m., Qiana got off of a bus and had a book bag on her with her laptop and other items that she needed inside. She stood outside of what was the Lava Studios building downtown, which had a huge lava symbol on it and was a high sky-rise building made completely of glass. When she walked in the building, it was beautifully set up inside. There were numerous floors and it was very colorful. They even had pictures of some of their Monster characters all around, including Munchkin. She was walking to go speak to one of the persons she spoke with via email, but then she accidentally ran into someone. It happened to be an Asian man who spilled all of his papers everywhere, and everything also fell out of her book bag. She quickly put it all up, or picked it all up, and the man helped her. She accidentally grabbed his pencil that he had on his stack of papers. However, the two of them scrambled to get everything together as quickly as possible. Qiana then said, sorry about that. And this Asian man said to her, "No, my apologies. I'm Jin, by the way, and you?" Qiana said to him, "My name is Qiana. I'm here to meet Mr. Kaze." Jin then said back to her, "Yes, he should be in that room back there." Qiana then said, "Thank you so much." When she got all of her stuff gathered and Jin helped her, Jin looked at her as she had walked away. She finally got to the room where Mr. Kaze was at. He happened to be another Asian man. Unlike Jin, who was in his 20s and had black hair that was slicked back, this man was in his 40s or 50s. He had on a blue suit, was well groomed. He also had slicked back hair, but he had gray in his hair. And he also had a rather slick look to him. The conference room that they were in was small, but it had a big table inside that her and Mr. Kaze sat opposite on. Mr. Kaze spoke when he saw her come into the room. "Hello, Qiana, is it?" Qiana then said, "Yes. Hello, Mr. Kaze." Mr. Kaze spoke and said, "Ball." Qiana said, "Ball? Like, as in basketball?" And Mr. Kaze said, "No, I'm saying ball, as in that's what you can call me. You don't have to call me Mr. Kaze." Mr. Kaze also spoke and said, "Basketball, huh? I see that you're very funny. Haha, I like that." Qiana then said, "So, you got a drawing. You got my drawing and my story idea." And Mr. Kaze said, Yes, I called you in here to tell you more. So tell me more about your project, please." Qiana spoke and said, "So, it's about a creature or a character called Mango. Mango Menace to be exact. He has 2 banana guns, and he is walking around with a gang of other mangoes trying to conquer this area he calls the Fruit Bowl. And these other gangs are other fruit groups. He thinks the mangoes are the best at leading the Fruit Bowl, so he goes around antagonizing others until his enemies, the Plum Reckoners, come into town." Mr. Kaze interrupts as she's speaking and says, "Wow, this is a really good idea, Qiana. Tell me more, please." Mr. Kaze sat there with a smile on his face as she kept speaking. When they were finished, Qiana shook hands with him and she left the building. Just as she was about to leave and walk towards the bus stop, she walked by this alley. It was very dark at this point, and all of a sudden, a masked man with a gun and wearing all black approached her. Qiana saw the man with a gun, who was obviously pointing this gun at her, and she said, "Whoa." And the man said, "Give me what's in your bag right now." Qiana stood there in fear as the man pointed this gun at her. Her bag that happened to be on her back, however, still had the pencil in there that she grabbed accidentally from Jin. And all of a sudden, it began to grow very brightly. To be continued. All right, y'all. So, that was officially the very first episode of the comic series known as Qartoon Queen. So, once again, this was Qartoon Queen, Season 1, Episode 1. This is also in the C3 comic world, the same as Glister and the same as Allspice. So, as you continue to hear these stories, you'll see how a lot of these characters and some of the people that I mentioned are somewhat blending into the same world. Anyway, I just wanted to be able to show you all and tell this story for you all, and allow you all to hear how it all played out. I appreciate every single person who took the time to listen to this podcast episode today. I will have a lot more to come, So continue to stay tuned. Continue to still be clicked into me on social media, specifically Instagram at Colas Creative. And you'll get a lot of updates on what is up and coming in the Colas world. So anyway, y'all, I hope y'all have a good day, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Peace.